So today we're going to talk about drift cars. What to look for when buying a drift car, what you might be looking for in a car that you want to drift, and some good affordable options to start drifting. So first things first, you got to establish a budget. Let's say you'll go with a budget around $5 grand. So what can you buy for $5 grand that's going to get you out and drifting? Really depends on your means and ability with a car, but probably the best bang for your buck's gonna be like an E36 BMW. I'm pretty sure only the M models came with limited slip differentials, so you'll probably end up having to weld the diff. And obviously probably some good coilover suspension. And other than that, plenty of power, good reliability, and it'll get you out there sliding around with minimal modifications. As far as a car that you could just buy and go drifting, I would probably lean more towards a 350Z, although that's probably gonna top out towards the top of the budget. So you're probably not gonna have much money left to spend on mods. If your budget is $5,000, you can find them for $5,000. Probably gonna see them more at like $6,000, and you'll have to haggle down, but that's on you. So those are probably your two best options as far as a beginner drift car. Just being able to get out on track, buy something, get out on track. You could go with a 240. Just the prices of them nowadays are kind of ridiculous for what they are, and if you buy a stock 240, it really doesn't have the power, which is kind of why Miatas are not in this list. I don't think Miatas really have enough power to really be a suitable drift car. They make a great autocross car, which we'll cover in a different video talking about autocross cars. But really, I think an E36 BMW, even an E46 BMW, you can find for $3,000–4,000 relatively easily. And I would probably go with, I would probably stick with the BMW. E36, E46. You could even go with like like one of the Z3s, which would give you kind of the Miata feel, but with the 6-cylinder up front, you got plenty of power. And then the 350Z is just an all-around good starter car because it's got everything you need. It's got the limited slip, it's got plenty of power. There's tons of stuff that you can do to them with all the parts on the market. RX-8's another option, although with the rotary, you may want to stay away from that because that can get expensive. Let's see. That's really probably your best bet for a beginner drift car looking to get into drifting with, still being able to drive it on the street, daily it, not have to worry about too much. So I would probably stick with, E36, E46 BMWs or a 350Z. I'm sure there's other options out there, and this is just my opinion. So that's what I would go with if I was starting off looking into getting into drifting. I would probably get a E36 BMW or an E46 BMW. The 350Zs, I don't really like the way they look, although it is a good car to start with. I just like the BMWs better. So that's what I would do if it was me and I was looking to go out and buy a drift car. I would probably stay away from the 240 market just because people want a lot of money for something that's, it is a proven drift car. Everybody uses them all around the world, but it's overdone, and the drift tax on them is you don't necessarily get what you want for the money that you're going to be paying. When you could buy a 328i BMW for $1,500, $2 grand, and then just beat the crap out of it with a welded diff and not have a whole lot of money into it. So versus buying a 240 with say it's got an SR swap, you're probably gonna end up paying $6,500 for it. Maybe if you're lucky you can find one for $4, but they're generally pretty beat up and beat on. You could get, you know, an E36, E46, and a 350Z, something that somebody hasn't beat on, you know, relatively low miles, and not have to worry about too much. You know, you buy a 240, it's more than likely been beat on, and if it hasn't been beat on, somebody's probably asking a lot of money for it. Now, if you had a bigger budget, say you had $8,000 to spend, you could probably go with something along like the lines of like a 6-speed G35 or an IS300, which you could probably get them in the area of $5,000. I've seen them low, about $45,000, $5,000, so those wouldn't be a bad option, but there's not as many parts for them as far as drift parts. I think that the G35 is very similar to the 350Z chassis, so you could probably swap stuff over there. I'm not too familiar with that. You'd have to do your research there, but that's really, you know, your only good options these days if you wanted to get into drifting and get into it relatively cheaply. Probably an E36 BMW or an E46 BMW is going to be your best bet. And again, once again, that's just my opinion. Take that with a grain of salt. But I think the 328s rated at like 190 to the crank or something like that, and they're old, so they're a little tired, but they still got plenty of power to spin the rear tires. You can turn all the traction control off and all that, so you don't have to worry about traction control kicking in. So I think that would be your best bet. If you were looking to get into drifting, I would go out and find myself a cheap E36, weld the diff, and maybe do some suspension modifications, nice bucket seat. Wouldn't probably worry too much about the steering wheel, doing an aftermarket steering wheel, but a nice bucket seat to keep you planted in the car. I wouldn't even worry about 5 points or anything like that. You could still run the stock seat belt with a bucket seat and have no problems. The seats can hold you in just fine. And then, you know, some nice coilovers or something like that. But you can just buy one, weld the diff, and just go slide it. You're not going to have too much of an issue there. So, with that being said, those are my thoughts on going out and getting a drift car or looking to get into a drift car. This is going to be a little mini series. We're going to do another one of these videos on autocross cars and then just a regular old track day car. So if you want to watch those videos, go ahead and hit the subscribe button, and they will be coming out here shortly after this one. And like, comment down below. Maybe you have a better idea of what would be a better starter drift car. If so, leave it in the comments for people to see. And we'll catch you in the next one.